And here we go. Here we go. Alright, time to get your hype on, guys. Time to get your hype on, because we are here with Bagiofro versus Chris in what is going to be a very anticipated series, I hope, and a series that should give us some really tight and interesting games. Let's see those 14 spams in the chat, because we are doing it. We're going in, and this is going to be awesome. So this is round 3 of the Empire Collective Cup, and currently we're on game number 1, which is of the Empire Collective Light map pack. The map that we've randomly been assigned or randomly got is El Dorado, which is a really awesome map, and we've seen some great games on this one so far. Is it Baltic? Maybe. Maybe. It can be whatever you believe it is. Whatever you believe in, it can be that. But up to the northwest of the map, in the green, we've got Chris. Chris always playing in the green. That is his chosen civ, it seems. Sorry, color even. What am I talking about? Green is not a civilization. Though if it were, I imagine it would be very, very awesome, since green is the second best color in the game. But he is playing as the Britons over on the left side, and down to the southeast in the orange, we've got BacT, and he is playing as the Mongols down over here. BacT then choosing a different civ altogether, the Mongols, and Britons for Chris. So not mirror civs, which is always awesome. And we're going to put team colors on. I probably should have done that first, because it's very difficult to see orange on this map. And so for that reason, team colors are going on, and now Chris is in the blue, and BacT is in the red. Not a problem. We're going to be able to keep team colors on for the rest, and make it easier to see what's going down over here. So, yeah, my prediction of this series is I honestly think it's going to be a draw. That is my prediction. And for that reason, we're going to close the bets before I do that. I close the bets now, realizing that I just gave my prediction, which I said I wouldn't do while the bets are open. So the bets are closed, and let's see, 7,800 florins were bet on this match, and the most favorable outcome is a 3-1 victory for Bagiofro. So people favoring BacT going into this set. Now, the reason I think this is going to be a draw is because these players are both very, very good. There's no disputing that. There's no doubting that. But earlier on today, Chris beat the Viper 2-0 in, I believe, a set of games. I'm not sure what it was played for. I don't know if they were friendly, but a 2-0 victory versus Viper. Pretty solid start to the day, and now of course going against Bagiofro. And if Chris wins this set, we can officially name him, or knight him, the Tyrant Slayer, which is quite a prestigious title, if I may say so. But yeah, BacT here, very, very, very strong player, there's no doubt about that, and I do predict this will be a tie, but that is just my opinion, man. That's like totally your opinion, man. El Dorado then, what's it all about? Well, it's about craziness. It's about fish that spawn under your TC, because why not? Gentle is a madman. He was obviously listening to a lot of hardstyle while he made this map, because it made him insane. And yeah, and so it was a really, really interesting map. There's a lot of food available outside these TCs. Not only did these fish have 350 food in each, 350 in here, we've also got 2 boar and a bunch of sheep as well. So there's no shortage of food over there for both of these players. Thank you very much, Snook Her Balls, for becoming a subscriber, becoming a Wallow Warlord for the 3rd time in a row. And much appreciated, man. I want to see those Wallow hypes in the chat now, please. But yeah, I told you, I did that little pep talk to you guys earlier on about how, you know, making lots of noise in the chat is like cheering if you were in a stadium, and it seems to have worked. The chat spam is real, and I'm loving it right now. It's awesome. So much hype, so much hype. So the chat is what makes a live stream magic. It sets it apart from just recording a game locally. It's so much nicer, it's so much better. So anyway, I want to talk about civs and maps real quickly before the action gets going. Obviously, the Mongols there with the 50% hunt bonus. Very, very good early game bonus. But there's not a huge amount of hunt in this map, or on this map, sorry. There are just 2 boar, but there are no deer. So, oh dear, poor Bagiofro here, getting a little bit shafted on food, and his bonus not going as far as it could have done had he have actually got a map with deer on it. Not to mention that the Brits over on the left side for Chris do get that sheep gathering bonus, which means that they gather from sheep as fast as they gather from deer. Well, most civs gather from deer. Well, so, I mean, there's a kind of big bonus to have. There's a lot of sheep on this map, and for that reason, it makes it pretty damn good. Now, the game is starting to speed up a little bit, so I'm almost thinking, whoa, why is it going so fast? Have we already seen, is there already a GG on the horizon? Well, I don't know, and the game seems a little bit slow and buggy at the moment. I can only assume it's because there's a little bit of lag between the two players, since Bagiofro is in Vietnam and Chris is in Canada, which basically puts them on the direct opposite side of the earth to one another, and as you can imagine, that's probably going to introduce a little bit of lag anyway. But yeah, the fish under here are also a nice little boost of food, and villagers gather from these fish really quickly, which is of course very nice and a favorable thing for most players. So right up now, at the south of the map, we got BacT here with his stable, and he's going to go for a scout rush, which is pretty typical of the Mongols. And the Brit player, well, the Brit player probably going to go for archers, ideally. But the problem here is that on El Dorado, there is no gold. The gold is in the center of the map, and without gold, there's not a lot that you can really do unless you make trash. And he could go for scouts, and it would be really unusual for him to do that. Instead, Chris playing the most logical thing and going for an archery range. Both players have got a dock in the corner of the map as well. BacT here with 2 ships and Chris with the 4. But BacT getting out a galley very quickly as well and going to be heading around the south of the map here to hit those fishing ships if he can. Halo Guy 2710 just paid $2.23, said thank you for your amazing service to the AoE community. Thank you very much for watching, because without you guys watching, there would be no stream, I suppose, because that is the motivation, that is the hype. So thank you very much, Halo Guy, for the donation. It is much appreciated, and thank you for the support, man. As always, as always. So over here on the left side, BacT with a very quick scout rush, and this spearman here from Chris is going to have a lot of work on his plate, bringing in another one to lighten the load a little bit, as Chris here looks to defend. Meanwhile, Chris going straight for the center of the map. A little bit ballsy to go forwards with those villagers, but he's escorting them with his spearmen. I wonder how much his services are costing per hour. But that escort there, going to be able to take down a scout cavalry, so a pretty good, or at least repel the scout cavalry. So a very good start for Chris as he pulls up that tower and tries to secure himself some gold. If he can get some gold, he can get some archers. If he can get some archers, then he can really do a lot of damage to Bagiofro's economy. Right now, yeah, skirms, weak. They are so weak, especially against scouts. This is why the Mongols are off to a pretty solid start here, and Chris is behind by about 400 points, but not really falling behind overall. I think the scouting information for Chris is a little less. BacT does have more scouting info, since those scouts have a very large range, of course, line of sight even. And that's probably contributing quite a bit to his score. As far as military is concerned, they are very close together. Chris has 1 more villager right now, so they're pretty damn close, really. They're pretty damn close. Chris on the center of the map with that tower, though, taking up some pretty quick map control, taking some stone so we can get some more towers up and really just hold down the middle. Now, it's not impossible to win this map if you don't have gold. We saw Tato do it versus BacT right in round 1, and he did a great job and managed to win that. Sorry, was it BacT who did that versus Tato? I can't remember which way around it was, but one of them didn't have gold until like the 30th minute of the game, by which point they'd marketed their asses off and they'd done so much selling at the market to get some gold to actually go to the castle age and get some siege out. But not having gold is not the end of the world, but obviously you're going to need it at some point. And the best way to get it is to mine it, not selling resources at the market. So right now, both these guys on 4 fishing ships. It's worth noting, though, that on the water, amidst all of the raiding with the scouts and stuff, Chris actually lost his fish, it seems. But he's not lost them. They're just running away. They're on the opposite side of the world right now. Much like Bagiofro is on the opposite side of the world to Chris, so are his docks. So, unfortunately, Chris looks like he's set to lose those guys eventually, but he's running all the way around, hoping that he can get a small advantage on the water and actually win this and actually deny fish from BacT here. BacT so far, not trading amazingly well with these scouts. These guys are pretty expensive when you consider 60 food each, and he's lost quite a few to spears here. So although BacT right now has 1 extra kill, I think he's probably not had as good a return on investment on his resources as Chris has. Chris still taking that stone, putting a watchtower up on his lumber line. And that's a pretty messy lumber line, isn't it? Those villagers have to walk a long way. They're really bumping one another. It's very, very oversaturated. But that is the case on this map. It's kind of difficult to hold down areas of the map successfully, especially when you consider that neither of these guys can actually build farms around their TCs. It does force the players away from their town centers, that safety cushion that the town center provides, as once the food is gone from under here, there is nothing. It is devoid of life. This swamp, although it is green, there is nothing of use in it. So Chris here, idling under the TC, which is a little messy, but that's because he's busy microing away at the front of the map. To be honest with you, if I was Chris, I'd rather have my villagers working than my micro in check, but that's just me. And BacT here getting in with his villagers, which I think is a really solid decision in this situation, because villagers are very tanky to skirmisher fire, and although Chris has got fletching, I almost said ballistics. Even though he's got fletching, he's not going to be able to kill these villagers very successfully. And right now, they're acting as a bit of a tank as BacT baits around these spears and tries to take them down. You have to excuse the boobly sounds in the background. I have no idea what is causing the sounds. It's like a phantom sound. I don't understand it. Anyway, Chris right now, he's escaped with 2 fish, but bear in mind, all this time, BacT has been fishing and Chris has been running away, so BacT should have more food in the bank, and if we take a quick look, that is certainly the case. He has got about, I don't even know, about 1,000 more food, I'd say, actually. Maybe a little less, maybe about 800 more food. But that's pretty significant. 800 food at this stage of the game contributes, to a lot of scout production and all of that good stuff, a lot more skirms, and also gets Badgio for a little closer to the castle age as he has more gold, food in the bank. He also has less gold in the bank. He has, of course, less gold because Chris is mining gold here on the front. And he's starting, I believe, to make archers right now as well. But at the moment, these rangers sit idle, sadly. But yeah, I believe he'll be making archers pretty soon. Maybe trying to hit Badgio for his economy a little bit where he can. On the water, a little fight going on here. Looks like Chris is going to get the upper hand there since Badgio does not have fletching yet, allowing him to do a little extra damage. And he's now going 2 for 1 there over on that right-hand side, so could be pretty nasty for BacT if he loses his fishing ships here. He's also getting pretty ballsy with these vills. They've been involved right from the start. These guys are like the mafia. They're just in every situation possible. Even though they're lowly citizens, they are in there, and they're heading to the back of Chris's base to maybe throw up a tower or something. Maybe BacT doesn't even realize. Maybe they're just on a pilgrimage. Right, yeah, they're on a pilgrimage. To find the Holy Grail that lies at the top of this hill, because other than that, they are serving no use in Chris's economy. And Chris right now pushing Badgiofro's army away once again. Bunch of spears out here. Now BacT doesn't really have too many upgrades. He's got no upgrades at all so far. He's only just doing fletching right now, but no bloodlines or anything like that. And he's not got a lot of gold to do those upgrades with, so only just getting fletching quite late. Looks like Chris will get maybe a small upper hand in this fight if he brings the spears in to prevent the scouts killing his skirms here. But I think really that didn't end too well. BacT focusing down the spearmen, and now of course those scouts can get involved and clean up the rest of this, these good old skirms from Chris. So it was actually a pretty solid fight from BacT, and Chris bringing some villagers over now to fight, it seems, but he's got to lose one on this right-hand side. The rest are going to get involved and be able to tank up that skirmisher fire, of course. But those scouts get pretty low, going to want to go back now. And meanwhile, in the center of the map, Badgiofro, more towers coming up, more towers coming around, and Chris doesn't seem to have a lot of control over here, especially now fletching is done, since BacT outranges, or not outranges, but he does range further, which means that Chris can actually, Chris is pushed away from the gold a little bit. So BacT's starting to get a very nice upper hand, even though the scores say otherwise. It does seem like Chris here is, I don't know, is struggling a little, perhaps. Now, he has got lots of gold, which is something at the moment. He has got gold saved up, but he is at the moment only making skirms and spears anyway. So that gold is not serving a huge purpose at the moment. Bear in mind, though, Chris has done wheelbarrow now, and I think his aim here, his goal, is to maybe try and get to the castle age in a good time, and just defend for the time being, let that wheelbarrow upgrade affect him in a good way, and actually get some more farms out. On the water, Chris looks like he's going to end up losing that now as well, but he has denied or delayed Badger for his fishing ships a little bit, which is obviously a good thing. But these fishing ships from Chris kind of sitting idle at his dock now anyway, so there's already a lot of food available. The guys on the pilgrimage, well, they were on their way back, and they ran into a group of very angry spearmen, very angry skirmishers, and they all got slaughtered on the way home. Chris there gonna be denying that watchtower. That's a pretty ballsy watchtower from BacT. It's got 31 health on it. So if Chris is to take this down, which he could do, bear in mind these guys attack bonus, taking, well, sorry, wait, no, do they have an attack bonus? No, they do not have an attack bonus, my bad. I had a feeling that spears had an attack bonus against buildings. Might be Halbs, but yeah, that watchtower gonna go down. BacT not deleting it, it seems, which is a big mistake, since he didn't get any stone back from that. So that's all that stone, that 125 stone, pretty much all of that now wasted, all of it gone, and that is a shame. But he is still mining stone, but certainly not the most efficient way to do things at all. At the right side of the center, though, BacT will take down this tower, as Chris here struggles to defend it. He's a little bit surrounded, which is unfortunate, but I think Chris here is planning on castle, and he is. He's going up now. He's on it like a car bonnet, and he is on the way up. I was not wrong. And that gold there could be saved for some siege. A mangonel could be very potent in this situation. A ram could be very potent for taking down these towers in this situation. So Chris perhaps just going to want to save that gold now, so we can get some siege. He could also use his market, which he has not built yet, but he could build one and sell some resources for some gold as well. But I think getting up to the castle age here is going to be pivotal for Chris, since it will allow him to make some siege. And it will allow him to upgrade these units as well. He could go for elite skirmisher and pikemen, and that's going to be really difficult for BacT to stop, I believe. BacT, though, turtling up a little bit. Towers coming up in his economy, and as a result, look at this, walls around this TC as well. As a result, it might become a little more difficult for Chris to bust in there and do some damage. But I think Chris's goal might just be to take the center back. And there's that market as well. Take that center back from BacT. And the market here, of course, going up hot. Going to be used for selling a little bit of wood, I believe. And maybe even buying some stone, maybe selling a little bit of food as well. But there's plenty of resources knocking around for Chris. I'm surprised he's not done a third archery range or something along those lines. I'm surprised he's not making skirms right now, because those resources really are piling up, and he's not spending them. If you look at BacT, he is still making skirms here or there, but his food income is certainly not quite where it needs to be right now. Wheelbarrow coming in really very late, nearly 30 minutes, which is very slow. And as a result, these farms not nearly as efficient as they would have been with Wheelbarrow earlier on. Of course, Wheelbarrow making villagers faster, making them have to walk less since they can carry more. It's a really good tech just to increase the overall efficiency of your eco, and BacT left that really late. So Chris now going up to castle, pikemen, skirmisher coming in, bodkin arrow as well, and those tech upgrades. He can take this fight. He's going to take it uphill. He may as well, because he can still win this even if he takes it uphill. It's not a problem. Using the spears out front to try and distract these skirms, moving 90 degrees to the way these skirms are firing, so they all miss. And as elite skirmisher gets done, he can push up that hill, take the hill. And where's that siege workshop from Chris right now? I'm expecting that any second to be plonked down on the front or something along those lines. At the moment, though, Chris prioritizing leather archer armor. It seems like his plan here is to just mass those skirms out and take advantage of the upgrades that he can now get. Of course, skirms in the Fuel Age terrible at killing vills, but when they've got a hill advantage, when there's this many of them, and when they have 5 attack, with bodkin arrow and the elite upgrade, they're suddenly very tanky. They're suddenly able to do a lot of damage. Not only that, but they're able to tank damage as well. 6 damage from this watchtower and 6 pierce armor. So as you can tell, these guys very, very good at kind of tanking that watchtower fire a little bit also. But getting surrounded by villagers, it's their biggest weakness, isn't it? Villagers, killing them because they can't fight. Because of their minimum range. They're just getting blasted here. They will still, however, get a bunch of kills on the skirms, And Chris with a very solid score lead after this fight. Maybe going to lose a few more of his army units here. The pikes coming in though, and I imagine this will help to kill some of these close-up villagers. That could be pretty nasty. Chris in a great position now, and I really did expect that siege workshop, but it seems like he's just committed to skirmisher production with 700 wood in the bank, 400 food, and more skirms on the way out. Really disrupting BacT for his food income, and that's gonna hurt, that is for sure. Chris has done this before in the past, remember? I believe it was Chris, or it was Doubt. He made nothing but skirmishers all game, and it kind of worked. Even against knights, he still managed to win. It was pretty insane, and this kind of reminds me of that. This game really reminds me of that. So, lots of trash spam, not bothering at all with the market, it seems. Is that a siege workshop, though? Yes, it is, and I imagine we're going to see a mangonel coming out now, since these guys are walled up, and with a little bit of, a little bit of ram action instead then. He was going to try and take these towers down, but BacT taking a lot of losses there. He's now 13, 14 villagers behind, and he's also behind in military as well by about 28 units, which is pretty huge at the moment. So it looks like Chris just keeping that production going. Even off of just 2 ranges, he's able to produce so much. Now, Ram here, interesting choice. I really expected a mangonel just because it's, you know, if you repair it, it's not going to die, and it's going to be able to do damage to the towers regardless of the walls being there or not. So I was kind of expecting that. Now, BacT also doing a siege workshop on the right-hand side, and I think this is a good choice for him. He does have a little bit more gold income, but while I say he's got more gold income, all these villagers in here are kind of sitting idle as they try and defend themselves from the onslaught of the skirmishers, which are actually killing so many villagers right now. This is painful. BacT 20 villagers behind, and Chris here on the right side just killing a little bit of everything. Like, he's got no fear. He's got no fear whatsoever. Even in the face of knights now, he's going to be just upgrading his pikemen with +1 defense. So, pretty strong strat. Now, this is the problem with Rams. He's kind of got to go through the palisades first, but that doesn't take too long. You saw how quickly that palisade went down. You can very easily take it out and get to that base of the tower anyway. So if he cleans out a couple of these towers here, he's going to be in a really strong position. He could retake the center. At the moment, he doesn't have enough stone for a tower of his own. And BacT here with a mangonel, going to be aiming to take down the Rams pretty quickly. And this is why I think a mangonel is probably a slightly better option as well, because for Chris, if mangonels come out from BacT, which they obviously now have, he could try and out-micro the mangonels from BacT and get an advantage that way as well. Now currently, BacT being able to kind of defend a little bit with these knights, but he really is far behind in vills. My god, Chris has killed so many of his villagers. He's got 30 more now. BacT down on 27 vills. Most of them's idle inside these towers. The rest milling around on the farms, but BacT, even though he's up to the castle age, he's unable to spend many resources here. He's unable to get any upgrades. He can only afford 1 knight at the moment. And there's another tower down as well from BacT. So Chris doing great. And it looks like he's about to close out this game now. Another barracks up here. 3 barracks in total. 2 archery ranges. And his military production is through the roof compared to BacT, who is basically being ground to a standstill as he simply just can't get the resources to make anything. His food income is next to nil as these guys just run over his eco, killing vills all over the place. It's almost like BacT does not care right now. This elite skirmishers killing so many villagers off. It's unbelievable. It's unreal. It's unbearable, almost. But yes, well played by Chris, and it looks like he will get the win here very shortly. BacT's going to try and do as much damage as he can with this mangonel, but I don't expect it's going to be too effective when you consider that these pikes here are going to be able to start doing a lot of damage as well. Also, +2 defense on the pikes now, making it super easy to defend from skirmisher fire as well. And although BacT here does have 2+2, with 2 defense, it's kind of very minimal damage. Although skirms, bear in mind, do have an attack bonus against pikemen, but that's not really too much of a big deal. And Chris has just got sheer numbers on his side at the moment with 35 extra military on the map. So let's have a quick look at the idle time, and you'll see a big difference there. Chris, 1 hour and 24 minutes idle time. BacT, 3 hours and 24 minutes of idle time. That's a huge difference, and not surprising, considering that BacT here has just spent most of his time hiding inside of towers all day, and wishing that he had some kind of savior to rescue him from the dragon that is Chris, and to save the princess. But unfortunately, no such hero, no such savior has come. And Chris here will get the win. There's no doubt about it at this stage. Kind of just waiting at the moment for BacT to call GG, and there it is. Chris gonna grab himself game number 1 there. Well played by him. It's always good to see mass trash. It's always fun to see that. And I think Chris played very, very well. Interesting play style, and it certainly worked out really, really well. But BacT floundering around at the end there, just trying his damnedest to keep those vills working, but he just couldn't. He was overwhelmed and outnumbered, and that is pretty nasty stuff. If BacT had got wheelbarrow earlier, I can't help but think that the outcome of that game could have been a little different, to be honest with you. Obviously, the wheelbarrow upgrade made a huge difference for Chris, and Chris was able to really maximize the efficiency on those farms and get castle a lot sooner. Even after losing the center control and such like that. So anyway, there you go, guys. Game number 1 under our belts, and this is the best of 4, remember, so plenty of games to come, at least 2 more games on the way.